ended up, so I was 100% face to face. And then when Corona happened, I did not want to keep selling in the field because we sell final expense life insurance. And so our target market is seniors 55 and older.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was in the mindset, I was like, I'm not going to go visit my grandparents right now. Like, how could I conscionably go see like somebody else's face to face, right? And so I started making strides to figure out how to do all this over the phones and doing telesales, and that's what I've been involved with ever since COVID happened.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, what I'm wearing the hat from right now.
Is that
Senior Solutions Insurance? I worked with Myles last year, so
that's cool.
Yeah.
Repping. Look at that. You got some merch in there for you.
What's up, old cubicle?
Link in bio.
Lincoln Lincoln bio. I love that. That's dope, man. So what do you, out of all the things that like you said from that first number that you got, what do you feel like was the one that or the things that you're like still applying today?
Oof. Man, that's such a broad question, Andres.
Sure.
Let's plug it. Let's do a quick plug while you think about that, and say, hey, anyone who wants to sponsor this podcast, we are streaming live on Facebook every Thursday and Sunday. And then we're also on Spotify, Apple Podcast, all the major podcast platforms. And so if you'd like to plug a business, plug a festival, or just make a donation, reach out to us through our Facebook or now Instagram page, where we're putting up content, again, every Thursday and Sunday from our live episodes and in between. So, and if you would like to join us on this podcast and you're a Southwestern alum, just throw your name in the ring and we'll see what we can put you in schedule wise. So yeah.
Share some memories. Yeah. Broad question.
Some of the technical details of what we learn in Southwestern, as far as like buying atmosphere and the close, a lot of those don't really translate to the way that I conduct sales these days over the phone. But one thing that is consistent is, the fundamentals of, having a structured schedule and like focusing on the things that you can control. So like I will a lot of times, and I saw this in the field too, but like in the call center, like a lot of these guys are just focused on selling, like in the moment, like on this call with Betty, like I need to, if I don't make this sale, like I'm going to have a bad time. And a lot of times I find myself having to like sit these guys down and say like, look, dude, like you don't get paid by the day. You don't even get paid by the week. You get paid by the month in this job. Like a consistent effort for a month is going to yield you positive results. But like when you're just focused on like that one phone call and like, if I make a sale, I'm going to feel great. And if I don't, I'm not going to feel great. Well, that's like the fundamentals of what we teach at Southwestern, is that like, dude, you got to be steady, bro. Like you can't let this roller coaster, like, I mean, you're going to crash and burn, and a lot of them do. And so very grateful for Southwestern of just like hammering that mentality into us of you just like focusing on, those controllable metrics, and giving us the faith that, well, I guess that would really come from our student managers, but like the faith that if we do these controllable metrics, it's going to yield positive results, and being able to help these guys that have never sold books but are in sales with me now, getting them to be able to see that is something that's really powerful.
Damn.
Just having a long-term approach instead of just like moment by moment stressing out, because you're able to see what's controllable and what's not. That's awesome. So I'm not sure if you care to talk anything about like your explicit Southwestern experience, or if there's anything that you feel like is a soapbox of yours that like you just have all the passion for and could like do a 20-minute unplanned presentation about. not to give you a 20-minute, not to give you 20 minutes right here, but like, what are some things that you have kind of made with your time out of an 80-hour work week schedule, right? That's the other thing about when we leave Southwestern, we get certain parts of our life that we haven't had back. So.
Yeah. What are you up to? What do you mentioned you on the thing that you wanted to chat about something else besides Southwestern. Let's go there.
I didn't have any pre-planned
Oh,
material.
I thought you had like a specific thing. Okay.
No,
So,
I just like I was trying to put myself in the shoes of like somebody watching this podcast. It's like, well, I mean, hearing about books for an hour is like, in my opinion, kind of boring. But
sure. Yeah. So let's do this. I'm gonna ask you this, and then let's see what direction this goes, and let's let it slide. This is my favorite part of the podcast, is when we just like let it go wherever it goes. So, because you created the uncensored page, right? That was like a thing. So where did that need come from? And then not even like, did you intend for what happened with it to happen? Dude, was that like 2016 when that was going down? I glorious 6 months of just like, we got to check Facebook right now. Tell us about that.
I created that page because I was upset. I was in Buffalo, New York at the time on a book buying bender, and it was like 11 p.m. at night, and I was playing poker, and I was being active on the Southwestern alumni page, and I said something. And so there's these two alumni, Jim Potts and Joni Bickneys, I believe. Yeah. Don't have a problem with them, but they were just policing the shit out of that page. Like, you couldn't say anything without them either just silently taking it down or like sliding in your inbox and like explaining that you need to behave. And again, like, that's fine, but I was just like, fuck that. Like, there's a lot of stuff to talk about as alumni from this like fucking crazy internship program that is just not able to be talked about on that page because it's being censored. And so I'm like sitting here at the poker table, and I was like, you know what, fuck this. Like, I'm gonna make Southwestern alumni, I'm gonna make an uncensored group, and I'm gonna say whatever I want. And I didn't have any plans of like bringing the masses. It was almost just like me being petty. Like, okay, you want to like delete my comments on the page? I'm gonna make another page, and you can't delete my comments now. And I guess people really liked it, and they were like,
it was great.
I didn't realize it was as big of an issue with everybody as it was for me, because like I was the one that was like, I mean, there was a few of us that were like saying like some edgy stuff on there, but I guess people, when they like thought about the idea of like having a page that was free from censorship, that it was exciting, because and I think a lot of that stems from, in Southwestern, the culture is like, again, don't say anything unless it's super positive. Like, if any drama is happening in the org, like nip that in the bud as the OL. Like very hush hush. Like it's run like very structured. It's like a military. And I think when people, and again, I didn't realize this at the time when I was like making it, but I now realize, I think when people understood like, whoa, there's like now like a platform where we can just fucking do whatever we want. It's almost like the kid like leaving the nest, like
it's first college
after
party.
18. Yeah, exactly. It was like the first college party. It was like an extension of Sizzler, right? Where like we can talk about crazy book stories and like nobody's gonna judge us. And so that's kind of what it turned into. And it was like really fun for the first 6 months. Everybody was like, I mean, dude, if you guys are watching this and you haven't gone to the uncensored page and like gone down into the archives and like seen like some of the stuff,
some shit.
Dude, like if you ever want to like waste 10 hours of your day,
at least
have a layover or something, just
dude, it's
plug your phone in and have fun.
Some bombs were dropped. It's much less active these days, and I think that's because we really haven't been intentional about bringing in like new book kids that are not that are no
Yeah.
longer selling. Like there's like a 2 to 3 year gap in which like nobody that has sold within that time but isn't selling anymore, like none of those people are on this page, and so it's kind of died out. So if you guys want to like figure out how to bring in the new people, it'd probably be a fun time for them.
We can plug them in. I mean, well, and when we first started, that's where we started streaming to, because we figured that those would be the people that would want to watch a conversation. It like the idea of it was like, let's just do the uncensored page, but live. I mean, it's just bring people on who either want to love on or shit on, and then just, have a conversation about whatever. And here we are. That's awesome, man. So because Nick, and you were around for this, because it started off, I remember people were commenting on like positive things. It didn't really get heated until the first person kind of just shit. It was like, what was your funniest pony stories? And there was like a bunch of comments. And then it was like, some people like, well, favorite ways to have fun. And then, right. And the favorite event sales. Right. And then
it was like, have you ever fucked the first year on the book field? And it just like all hell breaks loose. Like it was, yeah,
it was
you're
that.
Right. It's
and then it was like someone was like, it started because somebody put something about Dan Moore, and then another person talked about Henry, and then it went all sorts of different ways after that, because people had very polarizing opinions on all of the things from there. And then it was like, I remember when it first started, I was with Ethan Callahan, and he goes, have you seen the alumni uncensored page yet? And I was like, what? And he goes, bro. So I get in, and the first thing I see is like that comment, like that argument that like just really first blew up about the darker sides of Southwestern, but then it became, and it was around campus every we were all like, every time we got a break after an info or something, we'd be like, well, we still want, like, we were checking it every day, all the time. It was pretty fun. Then it died, but damn, it was crazy.
Dude, it was
titillating. All the things. Yeah. So we'll see if we can get back to the magic, but I feel like everyone just kind of like puked on each other and moved on because they didn't have anything else to talk about. So
yeah,
I think it got to a point where like some people crossed some lines across, because like it stopped.
Absolutely. There was some stuff that was said that I was like, there's been some stuff throughout the years that like I wanted to take down because I either disagree with it or it to me it's just not, I know how it would make that person feel that was on the recipient of like whatever was said about them. But I've decided, I'm thinking, I haven't taken down, maybe there's like one post in the history of that page that I've taken down, but maybe not. Like I've decided that like to protect the integrity of what that group was meant to be, it needs to be a place that's free from that. Yeah,
that's a good call. That's a good call on you, because I think a lot of people would have been upset based on what you just said. Yeah, for sure. Good call.
And I've had people throughout the years like report posts and like send me DMs and like say like, hey, can you remove this and that? And again, it's not like I don't want to, but and it's just there, it's there for a reason. If you want to go like have a nice time, like go into the regular alumni page. But if you're gonna be in that group, then you're subjecting yourself to also, criticism and this and that.
Yeah. Also, like, you're a grown-ass person. When you knew the nature of the things that were being said, and when you posted something, and that we understood that they was coming from a place of people being heated, people being upset. And so like sometimes, like, because I got on there and I argued with some people and some stuff was said and I was like, damn, that was cold, but at the same time I'm like, this guy's just pissed off. And so you just kind of go, oh, who the fuck cares? It's some guy on the internet. You kind of just get over it too. There's like a little bit of that too, but it was a good call on your part to keep that stuff on there. And if you have not gone on that page, go to that page and scroll your ass. Damn, dude, it was wild. It was wild. Some of the shit that was said. Fun times, man.
Yeah.
Good call on you though. Where did is that something that like is important to you as far as like do you still check that often, or like is that like how often do you go back and like go through the page or think about adding stuff to it, or when's the last time you like were on it?
Well, Facebook really, as far as the Facebook algorithm goes, they really love groups. And so I get, anytime somebody posts in that group, I get a notification. And I'm sure a lot of you guys do too, because that's just like, you're going to get notifications in your inbox about stuff that are posted from groups that you're a part of, more so than from friends like posting like on their newsfeed. Because that's just like how the current state of affairs are with Facebook. They really love pumping in notifications on your inbox. And so I don't really check it unless I get a notification. There's every now and then I'll discover that there's like something that I've missed, but it's just, it's so unactive these days that it's just like not worth. I mean, like just like you guys were back in, like I was on it like constantly back in the day, like reading all this bullshit that was being said. But no, these days I'm not super active unless I get a notification that somebody posted something like Aaron looking for a porno video. That was probably the the last one that I checked.
Oh man, that's funny. That's did you ever like, did Southwestern ever come at you or something? Like, did they ever go, hey, we don't like this page? Did you ever hear from any of them or anything?
I heard very soon after that page blew up, I heard from a couple people that I need to tread lightly. But no, I never received a cease and desist from Henry or Gary Pear. Fortunately.
Damn, I'd be scared of that.
But
yeah, I mean, I was a little nervous because it's like, who hasn't Southwestern tried to sue? And so I was like just waiting on that letter to come to my address, but it never did. So
oh shit.
well, we're hoping to stay in the good graces of no cease, no desist, because we feel like we're
of what?
This podcast, we don't want to cease and desist. We also the bear in any sense of the word, because we're trying to just tell all the good, tell all the bad, and realize that none of us would be the same without it. So yeah, I'm in the boat of not regretting my past and being thankful, even though it's been, riddled with all this terrible exit, terrible this, terrible that, but ultimately lessons learned, character built, skills developed, network. Like I talk to both of you two regularly. Andres before the podcast and doing this with you, and Myles just this last year working with you. I wouldn't have known you if it weren't for this network. So it's ultimately what we're all grateful for. So we're just shining the light on it. Dude, I haven't talked about this with even Andres explicitly. Would you be down for like a podcast episode guest list? And like all the people on the guest list are people who have a podcast episode. We rent out an island and have adult Sizzler of our own. Just kind of...
That's a big dream.
Yeah.
That's how, I mean, it sounds like one of those ideas. It's like really fun to talk about, and like we're like, yeah, let's do it. Never happens, but yeah, let's do it.
So would you be willing to like buy a plane ticket, or would you need to have it be all costs?
We'd pay for it.
Yeah, like
who would pay for it?
I guess that's true. I guess that's fair.
I mean,
just buy the plane ticket. We'll get the resort figured out. Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, let's get the resort to sponsor the Alumni Uncensored Sizzler.
Yeah, buddy.
That's it.
Yeah, man, I'd be down for an alumni adult Sizzler. It'd probably be like me, you, and Braxton, and that'd be about it. But
Fido.
Yes.
Hopefully Fee would come.
Oh yeah.
That'd be
Have
legit.
you guys had Omar on yet?
He's
Thursday.
No, I'm so excited for that. I love Omar.
Dude, Omar, I was gonna ask this, like, are there people that like, because for me, like Omar is one of those people. Nick talked about this too, but like it's the people, right? The connections that you keep up with. Like, do you like what's that like? Have you kept up well with the people that you said you kind of like had lunch with the guy you recruited, two guys you recruited, but like, are there people that you looked up to like that you still keep in touch with? Like Elmore is one of those guys. He never was my manager, never followed him or anything, but I still keep in touch with the guy because he's just such a wise dude, you know?
Yeah, they're actually like some of my most positive connections and interactions have happened outside of Dynasty. And I mean, a lot of great stuff has happened within Dynasty, but it's so incredible the Southwestern bubble that we get to experience, even like people that we were never met while selling books. I mean, yeah, Omar, Fido, Lester, J.R. Sarmiento, Nick Warner. I mean, just to name a few, like people that I've had, Shane Blick, I've been very fortunate to have like amazing interactions with after the book field. And like I was never involved with any of them like while selling books. And so, yeah, dude, I mean, anybody that's selling books that's watched this, like I don't need to explain, we all know how incredible the Southwestern Circle is. And, you kind of, there's so many, and you kind of find, gravitate to this person and that person, and you kind of find your tribe. And I tend to gravitate towards people that have a healthy balance of like, I want to be successful, but I also like want to know like what the fuck is the meaning of life, and like the that kind of the people that are kind of like on that type of trajectory. I tend to gravitate towards a little bit more than just like the let's hit the pavement and like kill the numbers and like get a lot of money and like all. I mean, that's cool, I guess, but I mean, dude, have you ever just sat and thought about life for a little bit? So
yeah. It's pretty baller. It's just wild. I think about, here's the last that I thought, what do you think of this? Here's the last that I had that I was like, this fucking blows my mind. Think of the most beautiful place you've ever been to. Both of you. What's the most beautiful place you've ever been to?
Zion, no.
Mendocino, California.
Okay. Same? Okay. For me,
wait, did you say same?
No, I said Zion.
You didn't?
Oh, you said Zion?
Yeah, Zion National Park, Utah.
Okay, that's Utah, California. For me, it was the valley. It's called Valle de Cocora in Colombia. It's just, I don't know. It's amazing. Or actually, just gonna take that back. The Rainbow Mountains in Peru.
Machu Picchu for me was incredible.
Have you seen the Rainbow Mountains in Peru?
I didn't get to go to that one. I had skipped that one.
I'm gonna share this screen. Nick, give me some hosting abilities here because I want to share this. And the point I'm trying to make here is this. This was a thought I had. All of those places are on fucking planet Earth, dude. And then if you ask 4 other people, they're going to tell you 4 different places. And it just blows your mind how amazing this planet is and how much I like traveling is underrated. And like, that's the thought that like really blew my mind lately. It's like, if you really look at all the different places on Earth that you could go to, it's insane. It's insane. That was my mind blowing thought. You feel free to share yours with.
Now I'm inspired to dovetail off of what I was just saying a second ago before you shared that with us. And you're right. Yeah, there's some incredible places on Earth. One thing that I'd like to open up this can of worms is Southwestern is great for like, teaching you how to be like a machine and perform and produce. And one thing that I wish I would have had had a few more people to nudge me kind of off that path, like when I got out of books, because as I've grown as a person, I've come to realize that that units are not our life. Units as in money, numbers,
Production.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, like lately, man, there's not a day that goes by lately that I don't just like stop and like wonder like, and I like, who the fuck are we? Like, why are we here? Like, what is this? Like, what am I doing? And those two can like, they can coexist really well. And I think like Shane Blick is an incredible example of like how those two can coexist really well, because he's like a monster producer, performer, has an incredible team, and his broken records and all that. But at the same time, if you've ever had the incredible opportunity of sitting down with Shane and just talking about life, some of his insights and perspectives will blow your mind about, like there's so much more than just knocking on doors or getting a fat commission check from selling a life insurance policy.
Yep.
And as I've gotten older and left Southwestern and had experiences, I have really gravitated less towards the like production mindset and more towards like, dude, there's a lot of issues in the world that like we're either not aware of or we hear about, but we just don't care because it's not close to home. And oh man, if you guys have never looked into an alumni, Rob Greenfield, have you heard of Rob Greenfield?
Nope, but we can find him.
Remind me.
Rob
talked about him or someone else has.
Rob Greenfield is an incredible human being. He has done a lot of social experiments that have kind of gotten viral on the internet. He went like an entire month wearing these giant clear garbage bags on him, and any trash that he used, he put in those bags. And he like lived in New York City, like for like, I think it was like a month, like just like wearing all of his garbage.
I've seen this guy do stuff. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, he's such an incredible human, and he really like he's devoted his life toward, I don't know how many summers he sold, but he's devoted his life now to a lot of environmentalism, teaching people how to grow sustainable food, how not to rely on, the system, how to, make sure that indigenous people of color's voices are heard. Just a lot of great stuff. Oh yeah, there's that, his trash bag picture. Look at that. Go up a little bit.
Oh, right there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
Wow, dude. This is an alumni?
Yeah.
We got to get Rob Greenfield on this thing.
I would be honored. That would be incredible.
I would love to sit down and have a chat with Rob. I mean, yeah.
Wow.
He's a perfect example of, he's very successful, but he's committed to like not focusing on getting a lot of money. I think it even says like on his blog, he's like committed to like have like a certain dollar amount or less net worth of like liquid cash. And yeah, I mean, I could go on and on, but pretty much anything that he does is for the betterment of the planet. And I've become more and more interested in ideas that are going to be sustainable for the long term, because we as a society have lived so long, like, 100, 200 years, and we've made a lot of great strides with, technology and like all of these things that have been great, but we've been a little lackluster on really looking at the long-term consequences of what we're doing to the planet. And I'm all for ideas that are going to, have the long term in mind, sustainable living. Now I feel like I'm just getting off on a tangent, but just like that, just overall, like that mindset of thinking for the future versus just like the now, is something that I think is not only like a good idea to be intentional about, but is almost necessary if we want to really like do good things as a human race.
Yeah, I was recently talking with Drew Williams, a nature filmographer.
Drew,
just an incredible human who does a lot of really great care for the earth. He was talking about how the struggle that he sees in most people is they just don't think enough. And he was making this this point of how like northern cities as opposed to southern cities, they think more in the northern cities versus the southern cities because of winter, and how like there's a concept of time when winter is coming, right? You got to do stuff. You got to be active. You have to be, ready to withstand months and months and months without being able to grow your own food. And so it's really interesting to think of just how day to day we have thought as a human race for so long. Like Sicily, outside of Rome, is in a temperate climate there in the middle of the Mediterranean. They don't even have a future tense in their language in Sicilian.
Oh.
They just talk. They don't really speak about tomorrow too much. There's ways to like explain it in certain ways relating to like the double future or the double present. There's a whole TED talk on it. I don't want to misquote things, but yeah, the human experience as it's unfolded over time is really fascinating.
Myles, on something that you said, like when you were talking about, right before you started talking about Rob and just like having these deep conversations with people, you just reminded me a lot of conversations I had with Steve Thyden quite a bit. I don't know if you've ever met Steve.
Yeah, Steve's a great guy.
He's a lot like Shane, where it's about talking about the universe and life and the meaning of that stuff. And some of the better conversations that I've had in my life were with people of Southwestern who like had that same mentality of thinking ahead and thinking towards the future. And I feel like one of the things that Southwestern did really well and is a good part of its culture that I identified with a ton was the helping others feeling, the volunteer, the donating things, the helping the people at Sizzler, right? Like all this philanthropic mentality, and a lot of book kids connect with that. I feel like that like Nick is someone, for example, who like as long as I've known Nick, it's been caring about the planet and caring about climate change and like I've always admired that about Nick, and I think that all of us have that mentality, and it comes from this place of like life is more than just money or units. Mm-hmm. It's about experiences and ideas and sharing those kinds of things. It's pretty dope. So mm-hmm. I relate for sure, man, for sure.
Yeah, there's this concept of the storage of wealth, and I'm not shitting on this concept, but like this is how we live today in a society, is like the storage of wealth. Like I have gathered these things, I've gathered this money, I've gathered this property, I've gathered all of this stuff. I lock my doors, like I have passwords to my bank account. And again, not saying like just let free for all, but it's that idea that it distances ourselves from people. I mean, when you think about like these days, think about if you live in an apartment complex, you don't know your neighbors. Maybe you do. I mean, like maybe one of them, it's like, hey, hi, hello, how are you? Head down, look at my phone, get in the elevator, look at my phone, get in line at Chipotle, look at my phone. It's like this disconnect of, and we create these little bubbles for ourselves. And I forgot where I was going with this, but I had this incredible moment the other day. Nick, your microphone's off.
Yeah.
You said something and it's just your mouth moving.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on, but
oh, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, you're back.
I was just saying it's crazy. Keep talking.
I caught that too. Sorry. I saw good pointing out that, Myles. So you had a moment. Go on.
I had this incredible moment the other day where I was in line getting some lunch somewhere, and like there was 3 or 4 people in line, and I immediately like went to go like grab my phone to like pass the time, and I like stopped myself. I'm like, why do I need to do that? Like, why do I need to like fill this gap of time with like instant gratification of like, maybe like I can text somebody, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And so I just like kind of stopped and like just took a deep breath and just like noticed my surroundings and just became curious about just anything and everything, and just like let my mind like wander kind of. I was listening to this podcast. Tim Ferriss had a guest on. I don't remember his name, but he's written a lot of autobiographies on he's written autobiographies on Newton, Einstein, Steve Jobs, and he was talking about some characteristics that a lot of these people have in common. And he was saying that they have the childlike curiosity, and it doesn't grow out of them. Like throughout their entire life, they have this childlike curiosity, which helped, you know, their creativity and spark like excellent ideas. And he was saying he was just really admiring that about these people that he was writing these autobiographies on. And it got me thinking a lot, like why do we like have this shift from when we're younger and, you know, like things excite us and we're not, you know, afraid to say this or say that, you know, just that innocent, like childlike curiosity, like how does that get beaten out of us? Like that creativity as we get older. And I think one of the main things is embarrassment and shame. And I think somebody has a book on this too. God, like this,
Dan
I know I'm going all over the place.
Everything I learned about life, I learned in
kindergarten.
Yeah, Dan Moore has it's his like one of his keynotes is he talks about like when he talks about that guy and like how he would talk to him in the morning, and then little kids in the morning, college kids, and notice the difference that when they were kids, they could do anything. When they were older, they couldn't do any of the things, right? I don't want to quote the whole thing, but you're talking about that, right?
I do remember Dan Moore talking about that. I was thinking of the guy that wrote that book that Nick just said, the TED Talk. But anyway, yeah, I had that incredible moment. I just like got to stop and like, you know, be aware of my surroundings and, you know, wonder like, you know, why does the ceiling look like that? You know, like humans, you know, decided to make it that way. And just like it's just random shit. But circling back to what I was saying originally is that the storage of wealth in capitalism is a concept that I'm not saying that I'm against it or for it, but I'm willing to like consider other ideas. And I think that's a big factor in my optimism for voting for the president that we have now. Not that I agree with all of his ideas, but like the optimism that maybe like we could look at some other ideas. One of my favorite quotes in the entire world is a quote by Henry David Thoreau that says, "No idea." Hold on, I want to quote it exactly, so I don't want to paraphrase it.
Thoreau man. Well, let's see here. I can try to pull it up.
Thoreau.
I can pull it up here. By the way, thanks for telling us about Rob Greenfield. We need to look into this a little bit more and see if we can get him on here. That'd be so fun. Sounds amazing.
It is never too late to give up our prejudices. No way of thinking or doing, however ancient, can be trusted without proof. And I think that's so powerful because there are a lot of ways of being that we have adopted as normal as humans that we now look at and we realize that's not the best way of being. You know, take a look at, you know, the most extreme example is slavery, but I mean, take a look at things like the food pyramid. Look how much that's changed over time. I mean, these things that we do, you know, single-use plastic was very okay in 2005. That was not that long ago. Yeah. Now we're like, dude, this fucking sucks. Like we cannot keep doing this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I love being intentional about having that mindset, even with things as big as like capitalism and stored wealth. It's like a crazy thing to maybe reevaluate because that's like the very fibers of how we live as a society, but it's worth reevaluating. It's worth considering other options and being able to have a conversation with people that are going to sit and listen and give ideas and exchange ideas versus like, oh, well, you should just, no, capitalism is the way to go. Like, you know, because it works, you know, take a look at the last 100 years. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of the story.
I gotta take a leak real quick.
Yeah, dude, go for it.
I've been holding this for like 30 minutes.
You're good to go.
Oh yeah, dude, go. In the meantime, this is a good ad break. This is actually good. This is where we should have ads, Nick.
Every pee break. Yeah.
Yeah. Ad break.
Don't forget to reach out to Andres or myself individually, or more specifically, more helpfully, the Ponytails Facebook page or Instagram page about plugging an ad for your business. We know that Eliav Cohen, shout out to that guy. He was one of our earlier podcast guests, and he has this really awesome, it's like a robo chat that like helps organize all the information on your website that you have for your business, and basically just deciphers through algorithms how to answer frequently asked questions through a really great chatbot that you can have on your. So there's really
go listen to that episode. Go listen to that episode if you haven't while we're in this break. We're plugging a couple other episodes too. That episode was fantastic to go listen to. His success is incredible. Like
guy, he's awesome. So
he's a stud. So and also this would be a good time to do some introductions as far as ourselves, because we haven't done that. For anybody new listening, we are your hosts. I'm Andres Gamboa. This is Nick Taverdi. We did not do that at the beginning, and we should have done that.
That's Myles Hamm.
And this is Myles Hamm, who sold for 3 summers from 2012 through 15, no, 13 through 15. So, oh, yeah. So Myles, I was telling you about this story because we were talking about like the idea of, well, and make sure I'm understanding you right. You're talking about like how, as you're looking at the things and the way the world is working, the way our country's being ran in general, it's not improving or progressing fast enough at the rate that we are changing as a society. And so therefore, like trying out new ideas might be better. But the pushback on that is, oh, well, this has always worked. It's always been done this way. So just let it go. Right. Am I treading you? Am I reading you right? Am I sniffing what you're scratching? Good. Mm-hmm. So so that made me think of the story of the 5 monkeys in the cage. Have you heard that story? Okay. Mm-hmm. So the 5 monkeys in the cage. So there's 5 monkeys in a cage, and they get put in. They put like a banana hanging down and a ladder to get up to the banana. So it's like an experiment. So these monkeys, one of the monkeys goes, oh shit, I want a banana. So he starts climbing up, and the scientists just pour cold water on them, on all the monkeys, even the one that went up to go get it. So then eventually the second monkey's like, screw it, I'll try it. And so the second monkey goes up and they spray him with cold water. So every time one of them starts trying it, they just spray him with cold water until none of the monkeys are trying to touch the banana. Gucci so far? Okay. So then here's where it gets interesting. You take out one of the monkeys and you put in a whole new monkey that has not experienced the cold water yet. And so after a while, the monkey goes and tries to get the banana, but the rest of the monkeys start beating the shit out of it. So then he's like, all right, fuck, I guess I won't get the banana.
Dang.
But then they bring in a second new monkey. So now there's 2 new monkeys, but this newest one, the second newest one, sees the banana and goes, I want to go get the banana. And he goes and gets it. And then the rest of the monkeys start beating the shit out of him, including the other new monkey. Okay. And then
but he doesn't know why.
He doesn't know why. And then he kept doing it. They kept doing it until there was an entirely new 5 monkeys that had never been touched with water, and none of them were going for the banana. And the question is why? And the answer is because that's just the way it's always been done. And they don't know why. Right. And so I feel like we are the new monkeys, or like, you know what I'm saying? And some of us are trying to, whether it's at in a grand scale or in a smaller scale, are trying to make a change or trying to make a difference. And there's this whole pushback on like, well, if it's always worked, you know, don't fix it. And it's coming from a lot of people who it's worked for them a lot of the times and not for the rest of us. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah, that's a great story, Andres.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Faux show, baby.
Great illustration.
I'm just like, I'm like still like thinking about it in my mind.
And there's so many like things to like plug into that, like or like to that metaphor into the current world. Like who are we? What monkey are you? Are you the first one, the first new one? Are you the first one that tried and got, you know, and like the psychology of that, right?
Yeah. It's a great story.
There's a similar one about the loaf of bread. You've heard that one? What the Oh
Uh-uh.
no. Oh, okay. Little girl, real quick. Little girl's baking, and they're gonna bake this bread, and the pan that they're gonna bake it in is like this big, but they're only baking it this big. And she's like, why are we doing that this way, Mom? And she goes, I don't know. Ask your grandma. And so then little girl goes and asks Grandma, how come like you only use so much of the pan? And the grandma goes, I don't know. Ask your great grandma. She's like, okay. So then she goes and asks great grandma. So, hey, great grandma, do we only use a little bit of the pan? She's like, I don't know. Ask your great grandma. So she goes all the way up there, and she goes, hey, ask her the question. She goes, well, I don't know why the fuck they all do that, but for me, it was because that was the size of the pan that we had at the time.
Hmm.
And so
That's
it's like
brilliant. Yeah,
same
and
thing.
it paints such a wonderful picture of that Thoreau quote. It's like,
Yeah.
we've got to do better. We have to do better as people. You know, people are so resistant to change. We as humans, we don't like change, and becoming open to change is something that can be beneficial to all of us. I mean, I know I'm not saying anything prophetic right now, but like it's the truth. Like being open to change, being open to considering ideas that might conflict with the way that you know the world to be is such a powerful attribute to have as a human, because that's how anything's ever gotten done. You know, anything that's ever been a new invention has been invented by somebody that was curious and wanted to question why that thing wasn't there in the first place. And that's how we evolve as humans.
Do you think that only if people only thought that way, that we would be at a detriment? Because to take, and I say this because I've also been in the category of, you know, renewable energy and like changing the way we use our fossil fuels and moving on from those. Like if we only thought in the new and different way as a society, we wouldn't consistency. Like that's one big thing that we learn about in selling books is the importance of being consistent. And there's entire institutions and industries and fields of study that only exist because of consistent, steady focus on that one thing. So I don't know.
I
Specialized.
disagree.
Go for it. Go ahead.
I disagree because, well, I mean, I agree with you I agree with you a little bit, but
you're arguing.
there's nothing wrong with continuing to do the same thing if it's working, but it's also important to continually, you know, evaluate, you know, what you're doing and taking a look, you know, when presented with new information. See, the issue here is that there's no issue with continuing to do something that is working for now. The issue is when somebody is presented with new information, them being too stubborn to look at that and evaluate, maybe we could make a change here or make a change there. And a lot of it boils down to the ego. Our ego talks a lot and is resistant because we want to be right. The length to which we will go as a human being to be right is astounding. And I'm speaking for myself too. I find myself, you know, if I get into it with somebody, sometimes I'll do whatever it takes to be right, because our ego is so powerful and so strong. And one thing I've been so grateful to be a little bit more aware of these days is like when my ego is talking. It's like 24/7 is the thing. Like our ego is always in one ear, and then in the other ear is like a voice of reason, you know. But that voice is very, very quiet, at least in me, and I would venture to say in a lot of people. And the ego can really hinder our ability to look at ideas that may potentially be a good idea, but it's going to reflect that maybe we don't know as much as we think we know, and that hurts us. That hurts our egos.
Well
Yes.
said, sir.
Yes. The thing the key I think to success, I'm just very humbly trying to say this because I wouldn't, by my standards, I'm not successful yet. I'm working towards that. But for me, I think when I noticed across the board of people who I look up to is the ability to adapt to change. And I think
Mhm.
that's what makes people like best at selling books, honestly. And I think this can even be what you're talking about, Myles, can even be applied to like Southwestern, how like it took until like 2016 really to have a website that actually was good. And it's like, how is that possible? It's 2016 and you're this big company, education company, like you're behind. And it's
I have a few
slow to
ideas of how
change.
that's possible, but
Yeah. So
anyway.
we can get into that later in a bit, but that's the same idea. I mean, Southwestern is a company that like, because we're 160 years old, like changing that is hard because it's been there. But the ability to adapt to change, the only thing that is constant in life is change, which is a weird way of saying that, but that's true. And the people that can handle it the best are like are better for it. I mean, the people that cannot handle change, the trick to life is learning how to handle it, changing
Mhm.
all of the fucking every day, all of the time.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about like as far as ego goes, I mean, a person who has a healthy ego understands that like that is going to happen. That you can't continue to be at the top. That sometimes you're going to be down. Sometimes it's going to come back up, and it's just going to just cycle through. And you just got to learn to deal with the shit that's going on, right?
Mhm.
And that to me is like when Nick, with what you were saying, there are some things that it's like, hey, if it's working, if it's not broken, don't fix it type of mentality, which is fair. But then the question becomes is how do we know if it's broken? Like what metrics are we using?
So this
Are
is
we
this
using
is what
accurate
I've been
metrics?
talking a lot about within the last few stops of mine, in terms of like when I was working at Senior Solutions Insurance. I was trying to basically take certain principles that I learned from selling books and took stuff right out of Selling 101 and other things about schedule and put it in the training, and a buying line and put in the training, tracking your stats, and just all the stuff that is tradition not based on practice, explicit practice, but rather tradition based on principle. And you don't get to those every single time. Obviously, there are the people who are slow to realizing the principles within a practice, because any tradition is a practice, but if it's a tradition without thought, like the monkey not climbing up and getting the banana thing, like it's okay to test and prove these things and have principles that unfold as a result. So I mean, that's all I gotta say about that. Traditions based on principles instead of practice are the way to go.
The issue that I think hits the most with that monkey banana analogy or metaphor is that like the earth is the banana, right? As in like it has a shelf life. As in like there's only a certain amount of time before someone tries to go reach for it and make it better or take advantage of what's here before it's like too late. And then it's like because we didn't want to change, that opportunity is gone. Does that make sense? And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
to to
100%.
to me, the scariest factor going forward, as far as coming from like a climate change standpoint, is just the idea that there is a point where we force our hand, and we have to then adapt to the consequences that we brought upon ourselves. So, like, we will survive, I think, as a species once shit hits the fan, if it does, but it will not
Maybe.
be, but it won't be in like the way we think. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, the people that are smart enough to survive and capable of surviving, they'll find a way, but the majority of us will be gone.
Maybe.
Tell me about that.
Maybe
Tell me about
not.
that.
Interstellar.
Have consider this. Have you heard of the Fermi paradox?
No, but I'm so excited. Yes, tell me.
I've heard the
The
name,
the
but
Fermi paradox, it might be a different I'm pretty sure it's the Fermi paradox, is the idea that it's the it's a solution to the reason why we have not encountered extraterrestrial life. Not that extraterrestrial life does not exist, but it is because extraterrestrial life kills itself off before being able to have the capability of encountering other extraterrestrial life.
Oh,
I believe that's the Fermi paradox. Let me make sure I'm not confusing my.
I'm looking right at it.
Let me.
4 things. Number 1, aliens never came to Earth because of physical difficulty. Space travel is pretty much infeasible related to astronomy, biology, or just straight up engineering. That's one of the reasons why we haven't been visited. Another reason is if they even had the possibility, they didn't choose to come here. They just skipped over us for whatever reasons. And then number 3, advanced civilizations arose too recently for aliens to evolve to the point of reaching us. And then aliens have visited Earth in the past, but they've been secret and we haven't observed them. So I don't know. There's Area 51 and all this stuff. There's aliens out there apparently.
Now hang on. So Myles, that's, first of all, Nick, that is trippy as shit. I have not thought of this before. This is awesome. But you're saying, Myles, and that we are, the Fermi paradox would then, or if this is the idea, is that we are going to kill ourselves off before we even have the idea or technology available to be able to like leave the planet. So interstellar could not happen, is the idea.
Yeah. It's just the idea that civilizations just they die off before being able to encounter each other.
But I feel like there are ways that we can find to survive here if the conditions of the planet become unsustainable. I feel like we
absolutely. So it's not the idea that like it's impossible. It's just the idea it's a solution to why we have not encountered them yet. And not saying that it's impossible for us to move on as a species, but it's just the deck is not stacked in our favor because, I mean, look at history, dude. We're fucked up. Like,
yeah, yeah, we're kind of shitty humans.
Yeah.
But I guess my question then would be is if we were to find, I mean, I feel like our species, if it survives long enough, would be able to find ways of interstellar travel within a reasonable amount of time. I think it's possible. I think we have the minds, and we will have the minds to be able to accomplish the ability to like travel long distances.
The real struggle is how do you choose and arrive at those people, and do they survive the departure, and is there going to be wars on resources in the meantime? There's layers to this. What I always say to this conversation of leaving planet Earth is before we even head down that thought process, like Elon Musk, great for him. He's figuring some cool stuff about interstellar travel, going to Mars and all that. But we really need to focus on the problems of Earth, because I will say this, there's something to be considered regarding the dialectic nature of the shittiness of humans. While we are indeed kind of like short-circuiting our resources and our ability to kind of work within these biosphere-related like boundaries in terms of what the Earth can take and what waste we produce and all that, while we're shitty, we also have a lot of good things going for us. It's there's a both and here. And so I think that there are certain ways that we can, as a global society, figure certain things out. Obviously, we're a little too divided at the moment for us to play team and actually work on solving our resource and humanitarian issues together. But it's not something. It's not for reason to not try. Is what I'm saying.
It's not for a lack of trying, is what you're saying.
Well, there is a lack of enough trying. What I'm trying to say is we should call each other to actually try.
Fair. But
One for four, man.
I think that would only happen until, well, there's a lot of things that need to happen. One, and this is kind of tough to talk about, but faith religion gets a lot in the way of that, in my opinion, in society. Like we're behind technologically because of some aspects of some religions, right? And then also, like the other way it'll happen is we're forced to, like we have to. It'll get to a point where like the wars that we're fighting amongst each other and stuff will go to maybe the back burner or gone, just because it's like, oh shit, like we're gonna die, like, so once we get to that point, we will have no choice but to work together, like or we will all die, and out of instinct we'll just work together. So eventually we'll come to it. I
don't think it'll be as smooth as you think it's gonna be.
Oh, it's gonna be awful. It's gonna be.
Have you ever put a group of people in like a high pressure environment, such as like an escape room or something like that,
or like
where you're actually forced to, when you're forced to work, even if you're forced to work together? I mean, dude,
it's bad. I mean, we all had group assignments in college, right? Like it was like, Jesus, dude, come on, help, right? So yeah, I agree. But what's going to happen is the people that are going to survive are the people that are going to be essential, right, to help us survive. And so then people like me, I'm dead. I ain't got nothing to support to this. But like if I'm like the guy that's developing how to create more crops on lesser sun, that guy's gonna make it. They're like, we're gonna need you, sir.
We need to incentivize that openly as a society. We don't incentivize things that aren't currently or like quickly producing money. So that's why we have a lot of the issues that we have in terms of cleanup that needs to get done, in terms of like changing energy infrastructure, in terms of you name it, right? There's entire colleges dedicated to this kind of stuff. So yeah.
Andres, when you invited me on the podcast here, you mentioned that we were going to argue. Yeah. And we have not been arguing whatsoever.
I think, and
I'm a little disappointed.
I told Nick this. By argue, I mean more like this kind of conversation where it's like an open discussion of like, because we the majority of our episodes so far have been very, very Southwestern oriented, which has been great. And maybe we can still get back in some sort of way to that, like, or whatever, as like the conversation flows.
No, we've done enough. That's fine.
I still wanted to hear some pony stories, but
what? No, let's disagree on something. What? Like, come on. Like,
I'm down, dude.
Let's figure something out.
Just pick a topic, and I'll just take the devil's advocate route, just to fucking argue.
No.
I'll lose it. I
don't want this to be like an exercise. No, like I'm very curious. Like, I was you were like, dude, we're gonna argue. So like, I had no, because me and you haven't really sat down and like ever like gotten into like deep topics before. I mean, we've been cordial and but so I really wasn't even sure what you meant by that, but I was definitely excited by the idea of like, because I love it, and maybe we could do like another episode where we could bring some people on that like I would certainly have some agreements with, because
I'm hoping to.
Because that I love that shit, man.
Same.
It's so healthy for that to happen. It really is.
Yeah. People who avoid confrontation. Okay, we'll find something to disagree on real quick. But I agree with you on that it's like confrontation is so important for just as long as you're coming at it in a healthy way of like, not I'm right, but like, why do we disagree? That's different, right? And coming at it with that angle, you can literally sit down and learn a lot about someone, whatever it is in general. The reason I said argue is because I just have, or I picture you to be more like okay with disagreeing with someone and very okay with confrontation. So what I was hoping would happen is like one of us, Nick, you, me, would say something and we go, I don't agree with that. And then go,
well, he just argued with me a little bit.
Yeah, but most people has just been more conversation as like, this is where we're going. So yeah, I'm down, bro. Like, did you vote for someone I didn't vote for? What do you want to get?
I had no idea. Like I said, me and you haven't really like sat down and like gotten into anything deep ever before. So like I didn't know where you were going with that. So I was like, I was just hoping I had a healthy curiosity.
Yeah, I was hoping that you would disagree with something that we said, like is what I'm and you seem like the type of person that's like, oh yeah, we can argue about this. Let's go. Like you wouldn't have a problem with like, oh, it's live, it's gonna be public. I have to like give opinion. You know what I'm saying? Some people are a little bit more reserved, which comfortably so, and our guests have been that way sometimes, and I like that because it's a different pace of an interview, and it gives good variety of each episode. But sometimes I do want one of those episodes, like the episode that I had with Josh Martinez and Steve. That's what I was, we didn't argue, but it was definitely like, no, yes, no, okay, now you go. And we kind of had like different like ideas, but it was a healthy discussion. That's what I was hoping for here. And so far it's been great.
I can think of 3 people off the top of my head immediately that I have had disagreements with on social media that have sold books that we could have on the show.
Let's hear them.
And we can talk about those people later. But the reason why I'm being like this right now is because I'll talk about people all day long and like pump them up and say positive things about people if they're not here. Like that's not a problem. But like I'm not gonna bring in like conflict. I mean, for lack of a better term, I'm not gonna gossip about people unless they're here so that they can like have a say in the matter.
Okay. Well, let me just say this. Something I think I have a healthy disagreement on you with. One is the kind of life insurance that you sell, which except for the only thing I'm gonna say is that the people that you sell it to the people that you sell it to would be the only people that I think would be a good idea to sell what you sell. So it's like
Andres and I, we had this argument on the 3rd episode with Shane Hertig about this exact topic. So if you want to,
let's not even take a look at what I sell specifically. Let's just talk about life insurance in general and what you may disagree with.
Okay, in my opinion, in life insurance, and this is an opinion, I mean, unless you're like super old, like the people that you're selling to, like there's no way that whole life insurance is going to be better than term life insurance, like generally speaking. Like any way you slice it, it's always going to be better to get term and then invest the difference in price. That's what I think.
All right, Dave Ramsey, fucking boomer over here. Okay. I would tend to agree with you, actually.
See?
There are some type of whole life policies, and this is getting out of my wheelhouse because I specialize in final expense, but there are some whole life policies that can be written as an investment, like some high cash value, high funded whole life policies.
Yeah.
But there's when we're talking about like IULs, GULs, that is so far out of my wheelhouse. For the most part, I agree with you. Like if somebody is not needing, there's no point to even, I'm basically just going to repeat what you said. Yeah. Term is going to be a great thing for somebody that has dependents that needs a temporary amount of insurance for a period of time. Unless you're a senior and you don't have enough money to take care of your funeral costs and your final expenses, then there's no way that term is going to make sense. You have to get a whole life policy. Yeah. And so, damn it.
And then hold on. I got another one that you said that I'm like, I don't know if I disagree with that yet, or if I agree with that yet. But you called me a boomer. I take fancy boomer. Fair enough. I know, it made me laugh. That was good. That when you said that capitalism hasn't been necessarily working all the way yet, I don't think we're ready for something new quite yet, but it's not looking good for capitalism, but I still believe in it right now. And that's something when you said that, I'm like, I'm not sure if we're ready responsibly.
Should we play the exercise of if it's like on its way out, then what should the new thing even look like?
I don't think it has to be.
I never said that capitalism was bad. Just for the record, like I said
you're right.
that
you're right.
I am willing to entertain the idea of an alternative to capitalism. I'm willing to entertain the idea of socialism, of communism, and like there's a lot of pros and cons to those things. Mm-hmm. And we can take a look at history and see when those things have been implemented. And I'm not saying that those two should replace capitalism. What I'm saying is I'm open to the idea of of something potentially replacing capitalism if we can, and maybe it's something completely new that that has never been tried before in history. I don't know what I was saying is that I'm open to the idea of a change though, rather than just like blindly saying capitalism is the way. Behind capitalism, like in theory, capitalism like is good, but there's a lot of greed behind capitalism.
Yeah.
There's a lot of greed behind, well, everything really. In something here in life insurance, and it's like this in a lot of other industries, is that like let's take book buying, for instance. Book buying and life insurance are very similar in the sense that information is readily withheld from new people coming into the industry, because the people at the top do not want you to know how it works, because that's not in their best interest. That's not in their best interest of their pocketbook. And I'm not like calling anybody out in either one of these industries. It's just, it is what it is. Like as a new there are tons of, I'll get more specific about life insurance because I've got a bigger bone to pick with that than books, but there are tons of companies in life insurance like American Income Life, Lincoln Heritage, World Financial Group, Primerica, these opportunities for somebody to sell life insurance. Family Heritage, fuck it, I'll say it, where they are just fucked on commission. Like these agents are straight up fucked on their commission. And there are some pros to joining organizations like this where you'll be captive and you will have a lower commission. There are some advantages, but the advantages far outweigh the cons, because as an independent agent, the contracts, well, let's just take a look at, let's compare apples to apples. Somebody that wants to go sell with Family Heritage that is coming from books, they're going to start them off on like I don't know the exact numbers, but I know it's like between 30 and 60% commission, which means that if you write a policy that the annual premium, the total annual premium calculates to $1,000 a year, if they're at a 30% commission, they're going to make $300 on that sale in the first year. Mm-hmm. As an independent agent, street level contracts start at between 100 and 120% commission, which means that in that same policy that was written for $1,000 in annual premium, at the bottom side of it, at the 100% contract, they're going to make $1,000 as an independent agent to that $300 that captive agent made.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I forgot where I was going with all of this.
Argue.
Well, I would say so because I work with Primerica, and so I understand what you mean by that 100%. So, but I don't disagree.
So that's where you got the buy term, invest the difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
okay.
what I don't, and again, this is not necessarily something I disagree with you on, provided that like you are what you're getting into the industry for. I think that's where I would disagree. If you're getting into the industry of life insurance to just sell life insurance and then make money from selling life insurance, then yeah, I would not recommend going into Primerica or Family Heritage, or because what happens is all of those companies are not like interested in necessarily selling more premium per agent. They're interested in recruiting more agents to sell more premium. Does that make sense? So like, for example,
Andres, there's not a single reason on God's green earth that anybody should be involved with Primerica.
Why do you say that?
Name one reason why somebody should be involved with Primerica.
If you want to go into a business that is for investments and creating wealth and helping people with investments, that's what you should get into like Primerica for. Primerica is
there's much better opportunities though.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not, let's say much better. There's probably other opportunities, but from a general standpoint,
like as far as opportunities go, Primerica is like the shit that's at the bottom of the barrel of opportunities for somebody that's wanting to get in to selling life insurance. It doesn't matter if you want to get into it to sell term or as an investment. You as the agent are getting fucked on commission from Primerica. and you're being incentivized to recruit from the very
correct.
get-go when you don't even know how to sell a life insurance policy.
Correct.
And on top of that, number 3, you're fucking the client, because there is so many better policies with so many different companies that you could sell to that client, but you're going to sell them a shitty Primerica policy that's overpriced. They don't understand how it's going to perform because you don't know how to sell not you, but in general, the agent doesn't know how to educate the client on how that policy is going to perform. And so they don't understand how it's going to change over time. And then they're going to be 73 years old talking to a final expense agent, such as myself, crying because they didn't realize that they have to pay $500 a month for their $50,000 policy that's about to jump up to $1,000 a month on their next birthday. And they were counting on this the whole time to take care of their funeral costs and final expenses because their family's dirt poor and they can't afford to get buried any other way than a life insurance policy. All 3 of those reasons are like crystal clear signs that nobody in their right mind should be selling Primerica or involved with Primerica, because any reason that they would have to be involved with Primerica, whatever that reason is, there is a much better opportunity out there for them.
So yeah, we found something we can disagree on. I'm glad. This is good. This is good. That's fair from a standpoint of like, go back to what I said at the beginning. If you want to get into the life insurance industry to just sell life insurance and make money from selling life insurance, do not go into Primerica. 100% agree. Yeah, absolutely. The reason you would go into Primerica is 1, ownership, and 2, overrides, which is recruiting, right? Primerica, like Southwestern, like Family Heritage, is a company that is distributing financial products. And so therefore their interest is in growing number of agents, not policy sold necessarily first. Like, right. So
let's focus on one of them first. Let's break it down and let's focus on one of them. So
sure. Well, we'll get to the ownership second, because that's really like the I would say the biggest incentive Primerica has in general. We'll get to that in just a second. But let's talk about from the standpoint of like, if overrides. Exactly.
You guys
so
keep talking about this, I'm going to go get myself a beverage. So
cool. The thing by the way, how much time do you have? Because we could go on this for a while.
Oh, I've got all the time in the world to talk about Primerica.
Okay. I have till about, probably I have like another hour and a half, 2 hours. So we can go. It's no big deal. So what I would say is companies like, if you look at Southwestern, again, Family Heritage and Primerica, I would put them in the same realm from the standpoint of the incentive for sure is in recruiting. Like people who want to just sell life insurance should not go into Primerica. It is not good financially for that at all, because you're incentivized to recruit. If you're a person that's really good at recruiting and that's what you do, and you want to make money from like having an organization that you built like Southwestern, like a DSL and Southwestern, then that's why you would get into Primerica 100%. Because they only sell term. I would also disagree. I mean, the term life insurance policies that Primerica sells aren't terrible. I will say that the people that are in Primerica currently in Primerica that only sell life insurance from a standpoint of like, that's their only ways of income, they're not going to be making a ton of money. That's pretty fair. What I would say though is, once you are fully licensed in Primerica and you can do just a simple mutual fund for a middle income family, buy term, invest the difference type of idea, like that Dave Ramsey mentality, it's perfectly fine for making money. I mean, there's lots of people in Primerica that make pretty good money, $150,000, $200,000 from that idea, investing people's money that way, right? And the biggest thing that they champion is the term life insurance policy, right? So you're competing against people like Northwestern Mutual, Farm Bureau, any whole life insurance company like that, that's just talking to a 25-year-old client, selling them a policy for $1,500 a month that is going to end up lapsing anyway, because it's going to eat itself, because it's a whole life policy. Does that make sense? So that's who they're talking to. And so from a client standpoint, yeah, that's a great way. I mean, I myself have had so many clients that we bought term, invested the difference, and they were better off for it every time. Right. So it's not maybe the right policy or the right company for every person. And we are very aware of that.
We agree on sometimes it's good to sell someone a term policy and then have them invest the difference of what they would be paying with a
Yeah,
whole life policy. We agree
correct.
on that.
And that's
But
the
where
only
we
clients I have.
disagree, where we disagree is that the rates that you can get them are astronomically better elsewhere than Primerica.
For a term life policy,
Yes.
I mean, I rarely run into people that we don't compete with from a rate standpoint that already have term.
We can run numbers till we're blue in the face, but I assure you the rates with Primerica are terrible.
Sure, that's, I mean, that's fine. I'm just coming from a standpoint of like from personal experience. Anytime I run into someone who already had a term policy that I would like sit down with, and I mean, I won't name names, but there's clients that I have who, I mean, we were like, some of them we were like $10 more a month, and some of them we were cheaper by a little bit, but they were term to term, American Family Life Insurance, or people who already had like State Farm term policies, for sure. Like that's,
I'm not saying that
I found.
Primerica is the most expensive, but they are more expensive than many companies. But I
Yeah.
want to circle back to
Yeah,
I want to
that's
circle
fair.
back to what you were saying originally was the overrides. I
Sure.
mean,
Okay, sure.
that's an entire conversation to have without even taking a look at the product, because now we're talking about agents that are trusting you. And if you could offer an agent, again, this let's assume that you make the same override in both of these examples. Let's say that
Sure.
you're going to make 25% off of this agent's business.
Sure.
Well, if you could hire agent A and give them 100% contract so that they'll make 100% on their business, you'll make 25% on their business. And then you had the option to hire agent B, or I'm sorry, I'm sounding like an idiot. Okay, let's say you've got an agent and you could hire them at 100% and make 25%, or you could hire them at 50% and make 25%. Which would you choose?
You can hire, okay, now you confuse me again. So let me recap. You can hire them at, say that again.
You as the upline are going to make 25% off of this agent's business regardless.
I hire Nick,
but you have the option to give them a 100% contract or a 50% contract. It's not going to affect your commission. What contract are you going to give them?
Well,
commission.
100. If they can make 100% of the commission, you give them 100% of the commission. Obviously, I don't know where you're going.
Yeah, because you want to do what's best for this person that's putting your trust in you, that's getting licensed, that's excited at this new opportunity to sell insurance. You want to give them the best possible opportunity. With Primerica, you are getting fucked on commission, and therefore you're having to fuck your agent on commission.
How, like, I don't understand exactly how so, because like what first of all, in that analogy, I mean, if you were the person that's getting 25% override on the person below you, then there are such things, like there are people who make 110% commission at Primerica, and then their upline is overriding them by that 25%. So we do have that case. I don't know why we wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like there's people in my office that are making 110, 120%.
What do they have to do to get that?
How much commission are you making? What's your commission?
My commission is 60%.
60%.
But that's just on the life insurance side.
Now, if you hire somebody to Primerica, what percentage are they getting hired
at? Starting out 25, but then they jump to 50 pretty quick.
Holy fucking mother of God, Andres.
Yeah.
25% commission.
Yeah, but that's just on life insurance. That's what I'm saying. The incentive, if you're just going to get into Primerica to sell life insurance, do not come to Primerica. The people that are coming in at that way, they all jump to 110. We're all working towards the 110 by recruiting. Primerica is completely incentivized by recruiting. That's why, like, the payment structure from a standpoint, if you're just looking at it just of insurance commission, yeah, it's obviously going to be shit, but the commission that you make up for everything else is much better.
Do you think it's a good idea to incentivize somebody who just got licensed, who doesn't know how to even explain what a universal life policy does to a client? Do you think it's a good idea to incentivize them to hire people, to recruit other people?
I mean, it's the same thing as like when you take a first year and have them go recruit their friends, right? When you team prospect. You're helping them build the team. You're helping them recruit. Yeah, it's fine helping them to recruit.
But your first year,
we're not talking about a summer internship though. We're talking about a career in
but
life
the thing
insurance.
is, the people that are training them, anybody that's new is not going to be able to go on their own and just hire and train their new people. Just good luck. No, like anybody that gets hired is going to get trained by someone who's been in the field, fully licensed, and it's been doing it for a while. So it's not like we're just having people come in and like, good luck. Is that what you're trying to get at? I'm kind of confused as the point you're trying to make here. Like if I'm new and the guy that hired me is new, I'm not going to get trained by that guy. I'm going to get trained by the experience, dude. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm still learning from the experience.
The point that I'm trying to make is that Primerica is so focused on recruiting and less focused on training you to actually be a life insurance professional and know what the hell you're talking about. I mean,
That's who.
I want to circle back to like these two things though, the commission percentage and the price of your policy. It's outrageous that you're hiring this kid at a 25% commission when he can go talk to almost any other organization and get hired at least 100% contract. And that's on the low side. He can come in getting incredible training on how to actually be successful at 100% contract. And you're going to hire this kid at a 25%.
Myles, I want to know where you're getting the 100% contract. But the people that we've hired from like Thrivent, the people that we've hired over from State Farm, they were making less commission there than they are at Primerica.
Oh yeah, Primerica is not the only fucked opportunity, but we're talking about Primerica because you're involved with Primerica.
But that's the thing. That's the thing I'm talking about is you're talking about people like who want to come in and make money on just selling life insurance. And when I get someone across my desk or over Zoom who wants to get hired here and they're like, yeah, I just always wanted to try to make it in the life insurance industry. Most of the time, depending on like other things that I follow up with, I'm going to go, dude, you don't want to come here. I'm not looking for people who want to sell life insurance. That's like the secondary thing. It's like you're not looking for people who know a lot about books, right? No, you're hiring people who can work hard, who can train hard, who can go recruit, and then you're training them on life insurance.
What are your primary products then? Your financial products? Is it like
mutual funds?
Mutual funds. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, everything that Primerica does is focused on recruiting and investing. Like, to call Primerica a life insurance company is like calling Southwestern a Princeton Review company. It's like, I mean, yeah, they sell it, but that's not the focus of what they're trying to do. And so if you want to focus on like just one aspect of the industry, yeah, we're not there to be the best life insurance company in the world. I mean, we try to sell good life insurance that works. And if it fits and it makes sense for the client, for helping them save money, cool. If it doesn't, if I run into a customer that has life insurance that's same type of coverage, apples to apples coverage, but less expensive, we leave them alone. And first of all, there's 130,000 agents in Primerica, so I'm not going to speak for all of them, but in our office, the 50 that are in our office, we are trained that if we cannot better the price for them in life insurance, you leave them alone. Because we're not there to necessarily sell them life insurance. We're there to help them financially. And if it makes sense to give them a life insurance policy from us that's cheaper than what they got, cool. And if it's not, then no, we just help them then invest. And if the investments that they got, we can't help them, then we leave them alone. Right. But what you're trying to get at is you're trying to get at people who, again, let's go back to what you're saying. And then in the contract and the commission rate, we're not here to be claiming to be the best opportunity for life insurance salespeople at all. I would never go out if I was trying to recruit you for Primerica, I would never go, hey, you want to make money selling life insurance? Not one time, not once. I would tell you, hey, look, there's two things that you can do. One, Primerica structure signed up is kind of like real estate, where it's like your own brokerage, which is the ownership part of it. So like you work under who?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I work under an organization that has my contracts.
Okay, they have so who recruited you into what you're doing now?
Pedro Vega. Oh, well, Pedro Vega and Nick Dale got me started selling life insurance.
Okay,
I'm no longer with them.
Okay, so does somebody override you? Is I guess what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay, so they make an override off of your commission. You're doing this. Do you recruit?
No, not currently, no.
Okay, so see, your entire income is just based on your personal production, and that's fine. right? That's what, so that what you're doing for what you want to do, just sell life insurance, I would say, fuck yeah, go do that. Right. But if your goal is to like own a life insurance, or not even life insurance, own like an investment firm that has your name on it and you own it, then that's where you're at. Does not make sense to do that at, right? Because, well, I guess I don't know. But Nick, get back in here, because you God damn it. See, this is why I didn't want to talk about life insurance, because Nick can't contribute. I want Nick to contribute. Oh, okay, whatever. So let me finish. So for me, my incentive in Primerica is to recruit, not to sell life insurance. The reason for that is because when you own an investment service, an investment chain, like a Primerica chain as an investment, that's where the real money's at, right? So if you're talking about how to make money in Primerica, it's not life insurance. It's never going to be life insurance. It's going to be the recruiting aspect of it. So who recruited the company that you're in right now? You got recruited by Pedro Vega. Does he override you?
Not anymore. I'm no longer with Pedro and Nick.
Okay, so the person that got you into whoever, let's just call him Matt. Okay, does Matt own the office that you work at?
More or less, yeah. I think we're getting a little off topic though.
I'm getting into the ownership side of things. This is the point I'm trying to make. When you ask me why would someone go into Primerica, this is why.
Regardless of how you spin it, whatever products you're pushing or selling, whatever products you're selling, there is much better opportunities for that agent as an independently licensed agent to sell those same products.
Yeah, but that's not what you're
able to do a better service for people you recruit and for customers that you have, because you've got more competitively priced products and you've got a higher commission to offer them.
How so? Like that's just there's no way that you can just, that's not a matter of fact statement, because it's not going to be, that's not going to be the answer for every person. Like if you go to like Primerica life insurance, Primerica investments will not be the right answer for everybody, right? So you can't just definitively be like, every time that you sell a Primerica product to anybody, that's the worst thing that you could have sold them. That's not necessarily true.
I never said it's the worst thing you can sell them. I agreed with you that there's other products that are probably priced worse than a Primerica term life policy.
Right, but when you're saying that like there's for, as far as being like for the commission that the agent makes and for the customer, that there's better options, like definitively, it's not always going to be the case, right? There are times where it doesn't make sense to sell someone a Primerica life insurance policy or whatever insurance that you want to talk about, any other companies. It's like it's a case by case scenario, and when it doesn't fit, that's when we just tell the client, hey, it doesn't fit, and then that's it. You're acting like, or I guess it makes it sound like what you're saying is, for an opportunity for a person, it's the worst opportunity they can have from an investment standpoint or a financial industry standpoint. That's not necessarily true either, right? If you're trying to be
I don't know a whole lot about the mutual funds and the other investment products, but what I do know about term life, and I can talk to you about term life till I'm blue in the face. And so if we just focus on term life products, which is a huge product of Primerica's, I mean, I would say it's their flagship product, because I've been in this industry for 3 years and I've never heard of a Primerica mutual fund. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but the Primerica term life product is the product. Primerica is a life insurance company. You ask anybody on the street, it's a life insurance company. I'm not saying that there's not other stuff like you're talking about. I'm just saying, in general, that's what it's branded as, and that's what it's known as a life insurance company that sells term life. And from that standpoint, from focusing on this, because again, I'm not educated enough to have an opinion on the other stuff that you're talking about, so I'm not going to get into it. I don't know enough.
That's a large part of it.
It's doing. You cannot hire an agent at a reasonable contract because you don't have a reasonable contract, Andres. You can get 120% contract out the gate, never having sold a life insurance policy as a newly licensed agent. If you know the right person to talk to, you can get 120% contract.
Sure. And then where do you go from there? How high does it go?
The piece of the pie, generally speaking, about 150 to 165% is the piece of the pie.
Okay. beautiful. From a commission standpoint, and this should be, I gotta be careful with this because I'm a captive agent, so I don't know how much of this I can put into public, although it's publicly traded company, so I should be okay.
I think you're fine.
There are several agents in Primerica that make well above 200-300% commission based on override bonuses paid. Does that make sense? So like the opportunity goes up higher from there once you calculate how to, the way the math ends up working out. But it's only based on recruiting. That's why I'm telling you, when you're asking me, and when you say, if you're hiring someone to just sell life insurance, 100% I agree with you. We agree on that. Primerica is not the place someone should go to go sell life insurance. If you can go find someone who's going to help you out the gate, get 120% commission, by God, go there. In fact, I just had this conversation with my brother the other day. He goes, well, why don't you just go sell life insurance where you can make more money selling life insurance? I'm like, well, because the thing is, I just don't want to just sell life insurance. There's something wrong with that. It's just not my interest, because you're right. There are other companies that if I just solely wanted to sell life insurance, that's where I would go. Does that make sense? 100%.
But you're focused on recruiting, right?
Yes, recruiting and investments.
And that's the qualm one of the qualms that I have is that you guys are so focused on recruiting. So let's say, yeah, you recruit 5 people, and now what? There has to be a product. I mean, otherwise it's a pyramid scheme. There has to be a product, and so you got to sell something, right? You got to sell some life insurance policies, but you tell those 5 people, just those 5 people that just got licensed, well, just focus on recruiting. Focus on recruiting, sell a few mutual funds, focus on recruiting. It's like this focus on recruiting. You got to have that product in there. Like otherwise it's just this churn and burn. I mean, the turnover ratio, I don't even want to ask you if you know what the turnover ratio in Primerica is. It's terrible. And it's terrible in most direct sales companies.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's pretty bad in most life insurance companies too.
It is, yeah. It's sales. It's a high turnover, but especially in companies like Primerica, where the commission is shit, and you're focused on bugging your friends and family to come work with you. It's not a career.
If you want to go that route, 100%, yeah, absolutely. But again, it goes back to the idea of like, hey man, if you want to recruit and if you want to build big teams, that's what you do. It's the same thing as Edward Jones. It's the same thing as Northwestern Mutual. All these companies are focused on recruiting. We've all gotten a call from an alumni that is now at Northwestern Mutual to recruit to sell Northwestern Mutual life insurance, right there. And that is totally okay. I mean, if recruiting is not your cup of tea and your side is just you want to sell life insurance, again, I'll say this again, I would never hire someone like that at Primerica, never again. Why? Because again, you're right, dude, if that's your sole purpose, get your ass to a different company, right? The commission rate at Primerica is it the worst that it is in the industry? No. Is there better on life insurance? Are there companies that pay more on life insurance? Yes, absolutely. But that's because, again, the focus, what you reward or what you incentivize grows, right? In any company. And so like the incentive, the commission scales for, and by the way, it's not Primerica mutual funds. We sell mutual funds for like Mason, MetLife, other brokers for them, right? It's kind of like Southwestern Investments there's no Southwestern Investment mutual funds. They're Raymond James. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you're saying the other products are outside of Primerica, but
Correct.
We can't call Primerica a life insurance company, even though the only product that has their name on it is a life insurance product. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, we have other products as well. There's like health insurance and a bunch of different stuff. But like, you're right. The Primerica Life Insurance Company, a life insurance product that Primerica sells is called Primerica Life Insurance. Yeah, absolutely. Right. But then our other division is Primerica Investments, which is a broker dealer for different mutual fund companies whose products we market, but it's through Primerica. So like the statement you get will be
how many of these people that get recruited to Primerica are going to be financial advisors, or could like call themselves financial advisors?
So I mean, the licenses is paid by just like anybody else, so we license them all. I would say we have 13,000 fully licensed reps that do investments, fully licensed. Yeah.
Out of how many agents?
There's 130,000 that are life insurance licensed.
Okay, so there's 130,000 licensed life insurance agents, and there's how many agents that are licensed to sell these other products?
No, just kidding. There was 26,000. That's what it was. 13,000 in second place is Edward Jones. So it's like a fifth of them, only like 20% of them. Yeah.
Okay, so there's 130,000 life
Mhm.
agents, and there's 26,000
Yeah, it's about
of these
20%.
agents that are qualified to talk about these other products.
Correct.
And you tell me that the life insurance product is not the flagship, is not the sole focus.
Well, the thing is, like, out of those 130,000, there's only like, I think there's only like 30,000 that are active, actually like trying to sell life insurance. Does that make sense? So the majority of the people that are actually involved, like people, what ends up happening is people will get licensed and then they just cruise because there's no like quotas or anything. So like there's people in our office, like in my office, there's like probably like 25 licensed reps, but there's only like 7 of us that are actually like doing stuff. Does that make sense? Because most people are just part-time. They don't even do anything.
Let me circle back, because we can talk about this till we're blue in the face. Let me circle back.
Yeah.
These two things are true. Number one is that the life insurance product that 80% or of the people are able to sell in your company is very overpriced when compared to all of the other term life insurance products in the
with
industry.
The same riders and the same value standpoint. We haven't talked about that
when
yet.
Compared with, yeah, you can throw in living benefits and all that jazz. When compared, it's very expensive. And number two, this thing is true as well. The commission percentage for an agent to sell a term life product is staggeringly low compared to what they could get. Okay. And again, you've just shared with me that 80% of the people that work for your company can only sell life insurance. They don't have these fancy qualifications to be able to sell mutual funds. So 80% of the company has to sell this product because that's all that they can sell. And their commission schedule, when compared to what they could get, is so bad, comparatively speaking. And so my question to you is, are you willing to make that sacrifice? Are you willing to conscionably be able to tell an agent, 8 times out of 10, they're going to be selling life insurance, according to the statistics you shared with me, 8 times out of 10, the product that they're going to be selling, they'll make 25%. But what I'm not going to tell you is that if you did this as an independent agent, you wrote that same product, you could get at least minimum 100% commission.
Well, hang on.
Are you willing to do that?
First of all, yes, that's something that we disclose right up front. But when you asked me what the starting commission was 25%. That's not what the average licensed rep makes in Primerica. It's 60 to 70%. Now that's still low compared to the 100% that you're talking about. Yeah, absolutely. But again, there's like a lot of context that you have to add to that. If you want to call it spinning it, that's fine. When someone comes in, I go, look, you're not going to come in here to sell life insurance like right away, like upfront. It's like, hey, this is not a place you want to come to just only sell life insurance. Again, this is not a place you want to come to just only do investments. You need to do both. The only way that it makes sense to help a client is if we're saving them life insurance, and then we're helping them invest.
But 80% of them can only sell life insurance.
Well, then if a client wants to talk to someone who is completely licensed, fully licensed, they can. What ends up happening is this. Let's say I'm only life insurance licensed and you're a rep that's fully licensed, right? So I go, hey, here's what we're going to do. I have a client that got referred to me. We're going to sit down with them and talk to them about life insurance. And then usually there's like steps. You don't do it all in one sitting because it's like an hour of just doing life insurance. Then it's like another hour of doing investment. So the way it happens is the agent that just wants to just do the life insurance sale that got referred. And again, it's not like there's 130,000 people working 40 hours a week at Primerica selling life insurance. That's not what it is. You ask me numbers, I'm giving you numbers, but to add context to that, again, the ones that are actively fully like trying to do and make money from that. And by the way, there's a lot of people that just sell life insurance at Primerica that are making 120% commission on selling life insurance. There's plenty of them
selling an overpriced product to people where they could be selling a cheaper product.
The overpriced product, we can get into that in a little bit, but that seems like a different kind of standpoint. We can talk about that at a different time if you want, but
we'll end this on this. Andres, I would encourage you to, so back to what I was saying like an hour ago, is that
we've been going.
What hurts us
is good.
What hurts us as humans is because we don't want to reevaluate where we're at we don't want to accept the possibility that maybe what we're doing is not the best thing that we could be doing, or maybe what we've done is not the best way to go moving forward to do things. I would encourage you to really look at all of the options, everything that I've shared with you, and really reevaluate like where you're at and what you're doing. I would encourage you to do that and like come from a very open mind.
From the bottom of my heart, I promise you I will do that. I promise you I will do that. Yeah.
I want the absolute best for you, my friend. I care about you as a human, and I love you. And I know you have so much talent because you came from books, obviously, but because I've interacted with you. I know you as a person. You're great at talking with people. You host a goddamn podcast for Pete's sake. Like,
and I host a goddamn podcast.
Like, if you want to be involved in the financial industry, I would encourage you to look around and see if you can help better, number one, yourself, put yourself in a better position, but also have the ability to put other people in a better position that you would hire and bring on. I would encourage you to look at your options. So that's all.
Fair.
That's as much as I'm going to say about insurance.
That's fair. The only thing I will ask is that then we talk over a beer when I'm in Denver next about with actual like numbers and shit that we can like pull up and talk about from like the other standpoint, because there's more to it than just like the life insurance standpoint. And
I'm open to looking at avenues of Primerica that maybe I haven't considered or been presented with.
I think there's a little bit to that as well, to this as well. And so that, but I will by then when we have this, and Nick knows this, I'm a person of my word. When I go to Denver, I am going to call your ass and we're going to sit down and I will show up with things that I've learned from things that I evaluated that you asked me to from this conversation, because I believe in open-mindedness. And I believe if I didn't, I would have never sold books. I was also the kid that got recruited the Wednesday before we went to the book field, because I was always open-minded for an opportunity. In fact, the reason I ended up at Primerica, because I'm always open-minded to an opportunity, right? And so because of that, I will honor you with that and go, all right, I'm going to go and really evaluate the options just because you asked.
Remember how I said I don't remember how I got on that tangent? I do remember now, is because I was talking about with buying books and with insurance. There are two industries that are heavily surrounded by withholding information, and that's how we got on this topic. And
sure.
In Primerica and in insurance in general, people at the top want to withhold information from people at the bottom, because the more information that somebody knows, the more success they're going to be able to have. In my dream, my desire, my hope is whenever I do start building, because I would like to have a telesales call center. That's a goal of mine, is that I can build it from the ground up with full transparency so that people understand how everything works. And there's not this withholding of information. It's bad energy.
I understand.
It's bad energy. Yeah. And you're going to find that all over insurance and all over Primerica, is that people don't want you to know how everything works, because they just want you to be a good little agent. And I'm sure it's the same in solar too. It's just people, it boils down to greed. It boils down to greed. People want to store their wealth. They want to lock their doors. They want to get theirs, and they want to make sure that people that are along the ride with them, that they're making their cut off them, and that they stay in their place, and that they are always on top of those people that are working with them. And it sucks. And it makes me feel all kinds of bad feelings inside when I talk about this stuff.
Great closing arguments. Here's how I will close. Based on my experience, the thing I like about Primerica has been the transparency. So I don't know, like the situation in general. So the experience that you're describing may probably be true in a lot of aspects, but in my experience being in the company, I have not felt that there has been things that are withheld ever since from day one. So maybe it's just the style of the guy that recruited me in the office that we run here. I don't know, but that's just been I can't speak for the experience of the other several souls that have got recruited by Primerica and then ended up not working out. But from my experience, it's just all I can, speak to, which is where I'm coming from. Does that make sense? And so that's that's what you're saying. What you're saying is 100% fair. And there's no way that that's coming from a place of insincerity or of lack of sincerity, because the experiences that you've had based on even not just Primerica, but just in general, the industry itself, you're right, is toxic that way. It's very there's a lot of I know something you don't, so pay me. And so then like withholding information becomes valuable that way. And
Yeah.
that's a sad thing across the industry as a whole. That's something that we find that's common. Like when we were talking about the original start of this conversation was whole life insurance versus term. Like one of the biggest things that we see when we're talking to someone who sells whole life is that most people don't know what they have. And it's just they're just being like taken advantage of from the lack of knowledge of what shit that they just bought. And that's fair. So now I want to include Nick in this fucking conversation because he's just been quiet down there, and I like it when Nick has things to say. And so, are you calling this the episode, or what are we feeling here? Because we've
been here for 2 hours. I've got things I'd like to stay on top of, but that's just my situation. All I will say about life insurance in general, because I'm wearing a hat about that, and that's where I spent my time with Myles, is it's just another goddamn industry. It's just another thing that people do to make money, and it's the reason why certain metro areas have office buildings is because of the industry of insurance. It drives a lot of things.
It's a shit show.
It is what it is. There's a tendency for people to gravitate towards the shittiness of all of the humanness involved. And I, again, am arriving at this part of my life where I invite, well, there's good and there's bad. It's the dialectic nature of anything and everything. And Taoism kind of speaks about that. And it's what the yin and the yang is, right? Is a balance in most things and how they play out. And so, I don't know. It'd be nice to really invite, as you were talking about Myles earlier, is just like people being smart in general, and like thinking with their brains. When I actually made the training for life insurance for this telesales agency, I put in how to take notes and retain information from my freaking thermodynamics textbook, just how to think. And I don't know, I feel like people like to become victims because they aren't aware of how to think through things. And, we get into trouble in general when we don't think through things. And it's important to take your time with things. And there's reminders left and right in society and my own life. And so, I don't know, we're all a bunch of meat sacks on a wet rock flying through space at thousands of miles an hour. And we're all doing our best. And it turns into the worst unintended circumstances in a lot of ways. So I don't know. I try to have grace with myself while also striving to be better, inviting some sense of humility, which even talking about it is like, are you really humble then? If you got to talk about how you're humble, I don't know. So I don't know. It's a lot. Life.
Dude.
Parents.
This episode lived up to what I wanted to. This was great. I'm so happy, dude. Dude, Myles, we gotta have you back on.
I'd love to come back on, guys. I appreciate y'all having me. Yeah, if you want to do like another solo dolo episode, or if you want to bring in somebody else, and we can chat.
I feel like we should bring in someone that we can like have like disagree with on other things, or like someone who maybe like getting to some of those other topics that we can explore and just and again, not to argue. It's not to argue. It's just to just have this. It's just like, hey, this is some discourse. This is an opinion. This is my thoughts. These are my things. This is what I believe in. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? So I was just having a conversation yesterday that I feel like today, social media, however you want to spin it, like people are polarized, man. People are getting pulled across, not just politically. I mean, I'm talking about across the board, and nobody's going. Have you seen Ted Lasso? Oh my God. Okay, go watch Ted Lasso. In Ted Lasso, I can't even explain how.
Is this a movie?
It's a show. It's a show. It just won like some was it Primetime Emmy Award? No, it wasn't an Emmy. It won something. It's Jason Sudeikis. It's a guy. It's a it's a football coach that ends up getting hired to go do like coach a Premier League team in England. And it's about like how to overcome things with kindness is the whole message of the show. It's really wholesome, a lot of what you need right now and some of the climates that we find ourselves in. But in the show, he talks about how in his life people always underestimated him because everybody was judgmental and nobody was curious. And so that lesson really stuck with me, and I try to apply it with even this conversation, Myles, or just in I try to be more conscious about it now with like when I'm talking to someone that I don't agree with, not coming from a standpoint, and you kind of mentioned this, is like I want to be right. It's like maybe I am wrong, and maybe this conversation is what I needed to discover from you that I'm wrong, but I would never know that until I have that conversation. And going into it with what can I learn from this person and what curiosity can I pull from inside of me to be able to see what I'm supposed to see here. Because on the other hand, maybe you give me more conviction, right? And it's what I needed to like really believe in myself more to go do better in Primerica, or maybe not. Maybe this is it for me in Primerica, and the importance is not if Primerica is good or bad, or if life insurance is good or bad, if there's aliens, if there's no aliens, if Southwestern is a cult, or if it's not, like, or whatever. The importance is more like what do I have to learn from you? Because obviously you're coming from a place where you think you're right and I think I'm right? So maybe it's not about are you right, am I right or wrong? It's what happened with you, where did you come from to arrive here, and reading your book, you know what I mean? And from there choosing what you think, not before, you know what I mean? So I appreciate that the way that you talked about this, and I think that we need to have more of these conversations on this podcast, because I think it'd be good to have those. So
we want to put people in the best scenario possible. Or, well, I say we. I believe that me and you and Nick would like if we hired somebody, we would want to put them in the best scenario possible. And so when you do look at some other stuff and like evaluate, where you're at and take a peek at what else might be out there, I would encourage you to like have the mindset of like, more so than yourself, but like if I'm bringing somebody into this opportunity, like is this the best thing that I can do for them? Because again, it boils down to greed. There's people in Primerica that are making a lot of money. They're making a lot more money than I do, and it's just how you slice that pie. People should be compensated accordingly. People should have their size of the pie accordingly. Like it should be right. And when you look at the other options outside of Primerica, I believe that the pie is more accurately allocated in other opportunities than it is in Primerica. Therefore, I choose the path that I'm on now. So, yep.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough.
I would encourage you guys and anybody else that's watching this, if you have not, and this is just off topic random, but closing, I would encourage you guys to read the short story called The Egg.
Yes, I've read that story.
Shared that with me.
Fantastic story. Yeah.
That should be a link in this description, because I feel like anybody that's read that story, it really opens up the realm of possibilities of like exploring life,
what life is,
everything.
Yeah, it's really good. Definitely recommend it. Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely. That's a beautiful way to end this. And go read the monkey story again.
Dude, that's a great story, man. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah, bro. I'm glad. I got to give a shout out to Taylor Jones, my mentor in high school, who shared a book with me of all these like cool metaphors like that I have. And that was just one of them a lot of them stuck with me, but when things in life happen, I'm like, oh, that reminds me of that story. And it's beautiful to see like the influence that he had on me to be able to give me that early on in my life. So for sure. Shout out to Taylor Jones.
You're the man.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad I shared it with you. That's so fun. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
man. Cool. Nick, do we have any announcements as far as who's up next and what's coming up?
So yes, we've got an incredible episode this Thursday with the one and only Omar Uribe.
Ooh, shit,
very excited. So that'll be Thursday, the 25th at 7:30 Central, so 5:30 Pacific or Arizona time. There's, after Omar, going to be Andy Laws and Will Metcher on Sunday of next week, I think 5 o'clock Pacific time, so all the in the evening. And then after that, we've got Colin Appel on April Fool's Day, Andre's current roommate, my old roommate, and then after Easter, which we're taking off, the Thursday of the 8th, we will be having Jordan Ortmeyer, Amanda Q, previously Peterson, and Elena Arendt. So
baller episode.
Oh yeah, we got to catch up on our guy to girl ratio. So more book ladies, please. We'd like to have you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's get a book girl on this.
Yeah.
On this
Is there,
show.
Myles, is there a girl, like a book chick that you're like, you have to have this chick on here? We want book girls because it's been a slew of dudes. We need to mix it up.
Slew of dudes. Yeah. If we're gonna have a podcast guest sizzler, we gotta
No, that's not why. We just gotta I'm gonna switch it up. Some of our cooler episodes have been pretty awesome book chicks.
Oh yeah.
You know who's a really, really interesting book girl, and we don't even know each other, but I've heard her speak. God, what's her name? Emily Woods. That's her name.
Okay.
Emily, if you're listening,
she's a Dynasty girl. She was a few years before my time, but I've heard her speak at a couple Sunday meetings, or maybe like a GRS or something. She's got an incredible story. She lives, I don't know if she's still, and I'm probably butchering all this, but I know she's lived in Africa before, and like she does stuff with like, I think clean water maybe. And I don't know, like she's just an incredible speaker, and you can like hear her passion through what she does. Very, very, very interesting human being. As far as people that I know, gosh, man, the first person that comes to my mind is Anna Dunn. Anna Dunn's an incredible book lady.
Absolutely.
God, I haven't talked with her in years. But yeah, she's an incredible human being. Got a lot of great stories.
Good leads.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I could probably think of some more.
Yeah, send them to us.
I'll fill out a little info sheet for you guys.
Yeah, I fill out one of those little yellow questionnaires. If anybody listening onto this has a good suggestion, also feel free to DM us about that. And then as far as this goes, we'll just chop it off here. Thank you so much for being on here, Myles. Nick, thank you for joining us as well. You are a great co-host, and I'm glad we're doing this. So I'm Andres Gamboa. Nick Taverdi is my co-host, and Myles Hamm was with us today. Thank you guys so much. Catch you next time.
Peace out.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Be well.